Major in Reserves, Shai Kalach, shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
So you're running to be part of the Knesset, of the list of the Knesset for the next elections. You're running in the internal elections in the Likud. First of all, why?
First of all, I try to run. Secondly, I think that there is a need of someone to be there in the Knesset, and fight, struggle against those who would like to eradicate the Jewish identity from the Jewish state, especially those who encourage the refusal, the insubordination against the IDF, against child. And I had the privilege to lead the counter-struggle against those forms of insubordination, and hopefully to be there. I'm talking about Omri Ronen and Yair Golan himself and what's his name, Nimrod Shefer, the general. This is first and foremost.
Now you come from that side. You were born in a kibbutz. You served in the Israel Air Force. Tell us about what happened then when you came out and you were there to counter the protests against the judicial reform with of course, as we said, the threats to refuse and to not go out and fight the enemy.
So as you said, I originally born in Ginosar in the kibbutz on the western shore of the Sea of Galilee, and I grew up raised in Chel Avir in the Air Force, and so I come from there, and I know their thoughts and their ideas, and today we have a struggle, a real struggle. It's a worldwide struggle. The woke culture in the United States definitely would like to eradicate the identities from the countries. But in Israel, since we are a culture of 4,000 years, the meaning is an eradication of the Jewish identity from the Jewish state. And this is all about, and again, the insubordination was just an excuse in order to force the government to accept their the requirements and etc.
Now, how do you answer those who say, listen, it was unpleasant and the protest was maybe it was exaggerated and they shouldn't have threatened what they threatened, but when we came to October 7th, they all came.
You're right, but there are red lines. And the red lines, one who threatens against someone it's harder, it's worse than someone who beat you.
So you're saying the fact that they threatened, the fact that our enemy heard the interviews, the press conferences, that was the damage.
They caused, the implication was that the enemy actually believed that there is no Air Force. And once they believed there is no Air Force, they could have, massacred us and beheaded.
Indeed tried.
Yeah.
Now, let's say that you succeed and you enter the Knesset.
Yep.
Knesset member Shai Kalach. What are your first goals?
First of all, we need again to, I would say, to eradicate and not leave any remnants of the so-called deep state. We cannot let the radical left, control the country in their, in their offices, in the general staff, in high courts, in the media, in the universities, in the education, first grade education. So this is first. Secondly, we need to understand.
Basically, what you were saying just at this point, you're saying that despite the fact that a right-wing government has been leading the country throughout many years already, when we look at the other areas, it's led by you're saying radical left.
You vote normally for the right, but at the end, essentially you vote for the right. But in practice, you vote for the left because they control in all the power forces in Israel, which I've just mentioned.
And you could change that?
I believe so. I know so. So first, I came from the kibbutz and the Chel Avir, and in order to change something, it's like an education. You cannot educate your child unless you understand the inner issue. And it's a question of internalization, of course. And and that's it. I mean, and there is Knesset member Amita Levi and Moshe Saada, anyone in his, Tali Gottlieb, anyone in his specific section. So I believe that my benefit can be among the issue of the general stuff. And secondly, I've mentioned before that the whole struggle is about a Jewish state. A Jewish state, this is all about. The radical left would like, again, to apply, to fulfill their goals, to make it a state for all the citizens. And we would like to have a Jewish state. What is a Jewish state is for another time. But it's time for us to understand it. And as part of it, I think I told you before that the main issue today, there is an enemy inside us. The enemy in Judea and Samaria, and the enemy inside Israel. And like the enemy in the Gaza Strip.
You're talking about the Arab population.
The Arabs. And they would like to wipe us out, to annihilate us. We need to understand and we need to know that. And we are now, as a society, we are mature now, and we can speak about it, and we can, start internalize the right mindset in order to get over that.
Major in Reserves, Shai Kalach, thank you very much for coming to our studio.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.